I like to tackle the problems in society that people actually care about.
Hmm.
Um, their health, their paycheck, and their kids' future. And the quickest and easiest way to do that is business ownership, right? Business ownership is one of the best ways to acquire wealth. And not just wealth for you, but wealth to pass on to your kids and future generations.
Thanks for tuning in to this episode of I Have Something to Say, where subject matter experts are unafraid and unapologetic about sharing their perspectives regarding issues that impact our lives. They speak up because basically they give a shit. So if you're tired of canned answers and want to finally hear real people cut through the BS and talk about real issues, this is the podcast for you. I'm your host, Sami Jimen Marrero from Urbander, and behind our mixer is our producer, Chris Majoka from UdoU. Hello, everyone, and welcome. Today's going to be a very special episode of I Have Something to Say because I know that in and out, we've always been talking about, or sometimes we mention about the disparities and inequities that exist in society, especially for people of color. And of course, with the systemic racism that's embedded in every kind of field, industry, um, service offering, etc. And so I wanted to invite my friend, Dr. Val Torres. He's the president and CEO of Armada Business MD, and he's like a financial guru, very much dedicated to supporting communities in need and marginalized communities in all of these aspects, from healthcare to housing to entrepreneurship to you name it. He's trying to remedy and reduce these disparities and hopefully eliminate them, right, Dr. Torres? How are you, Val? Welcome.
I am just grateful and blessed to be here, Sammy. Thanks for having me on your show. I love it. I love it. Yes. As you said, I'm Dr. Val Torres. I'm the president and CEO at Armada Business MD. Um, I work in the financial services and business consulting space, and I help people in all 50 states. And I just love helping people. My job is to simplify everyone else's job, honestly. I help make starting and owning a business as stress-free and painless as possible. And now, fun fact, I run my for-profit business with the goals of a non-profit. So I partner with a lot of large state and national organizations to fight poverty through business development and financial education, right? Knowledge is power, and the more we have, the better. So in a nutshell, I focus on reducing disparities in healthcare, housing, education, economic opportunities for women and underserved communities, especially the Hispanic community. And that is the community that I love to work with. I love the sense of togetherness. It is amazing. Very, very
Yeah.
amazing.
Yeah, and talk to me about how did you land where you are, and with having your expertise and exploring all of these, like really your wealth of knowledge in the financial arena, to impart that then in all of these other aspects of just living with dignity, right? And so how, just talk to me about your development, where you started, and then how you gravitated towards this community focused work that you do, even though you're a for profit, right, enterprise.
Of course. So, just to start, I was always really into helping my community. You had a guest before, Jolanda Simmons. She was from the U.S. Virgin Islands. She is Caribbean born as well. There's something about being Caribbean born where you love your community, you're part of it, and you just put your time, money, energy into developing your community. Now, I was born in the Caribbean in Trinidad and Tobago. It is a twin island republic just north of Venezuela. It is a former British colony, just like the United States, predominantly English speaking. But I was second generation Caribbean born, Spanish, Portuguese grandparents. So it does make me Hispanic by the very definition. But there's no wrong or right way to be Hispanic. It's like a spectrum. We come in
Yeah.
all shades, we come in all colors of the rainbow. You know how it is.
Yeah.
Now, my coming to America story is just it's very interesting. Um, that's what people tell me. I moved to the US when I was 17. That's around the time that I graduated from high school and went straight into med school. Um, Now, for guys who aren't really aware, Trinidad goes by the British education system. So when you complete high school, you finish with an associate's degree equivalent. And
Mm.
because of that, I was able to start med school at St. George's University School of Medicine in Grenada, without even having a bachelor's degree. So that saved me a lot of time. It saved me a lot of money. So student loan debt, that took care of itself.
Mhm.
I started living full time in the US in my early 20s, just bouncing around from Miami to New York City to the Tampa Bay area. A lot of diversity, a lot of new people, new experiences, new faces, and that just helped me to become the person that I am. Now,
Mhm.
when I graduated in my mid 20s with my medical doctorate, I chose to get my MBA in multi-sector healthcare management. I finished that a year later, and it's been a journey. It really has. What really made it special was the fact that I got all of that done with zero student loan debt. Right.
Wow.
So I got a scholarship, and that managed to uh, help me pay for everything, and I just finished that, and I'm just really grateful. But my perspective is different from most people heading into healthcare, and it helps me in entrepreneurship as well. I'm from a country that has a universal healthcare system that's
Wow.
similar to Canada and the UK. I really struggled with adjusting to the US healthcare system, and when I
Mhm.
got my MD, I was just so burnt out from having to deal with America's sick care system. I
Yeah.
felt I wasn't really making a difference. And instead of complaining about it, I decided to get my MBA and then go into management to help out and to just make a difference, to make it a lot less stressful and chaotic. Lo and behold, I realized that the healthcare system is the way it is by design, right?
Mm.
Yeah, it is for profit, and it is predatory if you don't have the means to sustain yourself. And contrary to popular belief, doctors and hospitals don't have as much power as you think they do. It's the insurance companies that have all the power.
Mm.
So I was put in a scenario where I wanted to help people, and I really wanted to make a difference. So you know what they say, when you can't beat them, you join them. I did
Mhm.
I did that, but not quite. I wasn't ready to sell my soul there. Um, Originally, I started my business to close all those health gaps
Yeah.
in the minority community. Um, but I realized that the problem isn't that our community lacks the resources; they lack the access to those
Mhm.
resources. And like, it's cool being living in the United States, which has the most innovative healthcare system on the planet, but if Americans can't afford access to that, like, what are we doing?
Yeah.
It
What's the point? Yeah.
Yeah, it
Mhm.
becomes a pay to play system, and that's no bueno,
Yeah.
right? Not good.
Mhm.
Yes, I
Yeah.
hope that answered
Oh
the
yeah.
question.
Totally. Totally. So coming from the outside in, with all of your medical preparation, you were able to be part of it and then
Yes,
quickly realize, wait a second, this just doesn't work. It's so flawed in so many ways. And the thing is, it's the same that we see in other aspects. And so why did you decide to take the route of entrepreneurship? Because did you feel that it was an avenue that afforded you some kind of liberty and freedom to be able to navigate at your, as you deemed fit? Or like, how, what, and then why finance too? Why is that like the cornerstone of your work in all of these other spaces?
So entrepreneurship kind of found me, right?
Mm.
It did, right? You know, when you're meant for something, it just happens. It just did.
Mm-hmm.
So when I graduated, the economy wasn't really the best. So finding jobs, it was a hassle, right? There are just so many inequities. You have the wrong name. You come from the wrong country. You don't have high school education. They look at that and it's really difficult. And that's what I had to deal with. I had to come to terms with building a life here because I was an
Mm-hmm.
immigrant, right? Unlike
Mm-hmm.
everyone else, I didn't have a social system that was built up over years and years and years. I didn't know anybody. I couldn't ask for favors to get a job. I had to do everything by myself. So
Mm-hmm.
starting a business, I thought that would be the quickest way to get myself settled and help people. And seems like it worked. I've been meeting a lot of people. Yeah, I've been meeting a lot of
Yes,
people.
it's awesome.
Yes.
Yeah, that's great. And so then now, and so then the financial aspect of it, because you're a doctor, right? Like a medical doctor. And so then how did you grow? Why is that? Why did you decide that would be the core of what you did to touch then upon all of these other areas of society that need to, be addressed in terms of disparities, inequities, and all that?
Oh yeah. So I don't know if you realize, Sammy, but we live in a capitalist society. Money matters. Everything ties to money, right?
Mhm.
I
Mhm.
quickly saw that. I wanted to make the biggest difference possible, and that is the easiest way, and it's the most effective way to reach people from the regular Joe to the CEO. Money moves people.
Mhm.
Finance chose me.
Mhm.
Business chose me. Working with people in financial services, it chose me. And there's a community. There's a community of entrepreneurs who work in the financial services industry, from insurance agents to people who dabble in real estate. Sammy, everything involves money.
Yeah.
That's the society we
Yeah.
live in.
Yes, totally. And you're absolutely right. I mean, that linkage between, you pay to play when you said about
Yeah.
access to healthcare, also home ownership, also transportation, right? Improving your transportation, education. I mean, yeah. And so that's it. It seems obvious, right? But it's interesting how you went from a field that has to do with caring for people in terms of their illnesses and their well-being and all of that, to then gravitate to something that's completely like opposite in a way, you would think, right? Because it's caring also about their financial well-being, I guess. So then because what you can't have one without having the other, basically, is what I'm hearing.
Your
Yeah.
health is your wealth, and vice versa. That's
Yeah.
how the works.
Yeah. Wow. And so now I know that you're very involved with some organizations, right, that touch upon underserved communities and are in different realms too, because you're involved with FIU's Business Women in Leadership program. So that's like academia, but entrepreneurship, like, right, smashed together. Then you're also involved with the Hispanic Chamber of Commerce of Pinellas County, right, as the Director of Business Development, which means that you're trying to also empower, a community that has the language barrier too, on top of all the other stuff, right?
Of course.
I know that you're also in a part of the Latino Leadership Institute entrepreneurship access program. So that's another, but that's outside of academia. That's more now in the community, in the business community itself. And also, director of business development for the Society of Physician Entrepreneurs of Tampa Bay, in Tampa Bay. So there you're combining your medical expertise with entrepreneurship too.
Yeah.
Where what's going on? Talk to me, Val. What are you why, like these interests that I see how they're very specific, but they're woven together, right? There's kind of like a common thread here. And so why do you decide to show up to support these organizations, and how do you do that?
So let me connect the dots for you so I can articulate my value, right?
Mm-hmm.
I want to help as many people as I can, right? And I see helping women and underserved communities as the way to best do that, right? And these leadership positions all help me. They give me the avenue to reach all of these people in the shortest time possible. Um, personally speaking, I like to tackle the problems in society that people actually care about.
Mm-hmm.
Um, their health, their paycheck, and their kids' future. And the quickest and easiest way to do that is business ownership, right? Business ownership is one of the best ways to acquire wealth, and not just wealth for you, but wealth to pass on to your kids and future generations. I don't know if you know this, but business owners on average have 12 times more uh, wealth than non-business owners in
Oh.
their life.
Oh, I
Yes,
didn't know that. Yeah.
think about that. That has very huge implications to society on a whole, to the U.S. economy. It does a lot of it has a lot of importance. And look at what we're experiencing right now with inflation. Prices are rising. Taxes are
Mm-hmm.
probably going to rise too. People need to make more money, and you need to have a strategy that gets your bills paid for, and you can live and you can retire comfortably. And I saw business ownership is the best way to do that. Now, all of these organizations, a lot of them touch on diversity, and I know you can personally
Yeah.
connect that, right? Every
Yeah.
single one of them. I'm a firm believer that a rising tide lifts all ships.
Mm-hmm.
That's something that I take into every facet of business. All of these positions, from the Hispanic Chamber of Commerce to the Society of Physician Entrepreneurship. Um, if you look closely at them, you need business skills. You need business development. Like, it's cool if you have a nonprofit. That's cool, but you need to have business skills so you can help people, right?
Yeah.
Your profit is no good if you go broke and you close down. You need to manage yourself so you can help others. That's why I involve myself in all of these organizations.
Yeah, that's great. And so then talk to me about some of the disparities that you see in healthcare, housing, education, and in social mobility, right? That you feel, I mean, because it takes work, right? But there has to be like low hanging fruit. I mean, in your experience, in the work that you've done, what have you seen in each one of these verticals, right? Healthcare, housing, education, and economic opportunity, which is salaries, what you were talking
Yes,
about, being able to have an income that's dignified, and that is a living, not only a living wage that you can thrive, right, and enjoy life, not just cover your basics. So what have you found that are for people out that they're also, business owners that just might want to, right, support organizations or sit on boards or or participate as subject matter experts in their own areas. In these four key facets of basic human needs, what do you feel is the low hanging fruit in terms of making a difference, and how do you do that? How can we do that?
So let me start with healthcare, my bread and butter.
Mhm.
Healthcare. People don't have healthcare not because they're lazy and they don't want to get off their butts to get it. They don't have it because they can't afford it. It's cost prohibitive, right?
Mhm.
In the United States, your healthcare is tied on to where you work. So,
Mhm.
with that said, what if you made it more accessible? What if you made it more affordable? That's what I do. I come into businesses and I teach them tax strategies. Hey, you can use this money, which the US government says it's okay to use. You redistribute that money to paying for those benefits that your employees need. So the health insurance, and you do it in such a way that your employees, they get free generic drugs, they get urgent care, primary care visits, free telemedicine, um, things like that. And those things matter to people because when you have a breadwinner and they get sick, what happens?
Right.
Access to healthcare. I'm working with the Society of Physician Entrepreneurs to increase access. So more telehealth, more telemedicine. Everyone has a phone. Why not use it? And it's very inexpensive to do that. So that's health. Housing. Housing is expensive. Oh my gosh, it is expensive.
Mhm.
How to get a house, you gotta have a really good credit score. You have to have money. And then when you buy a house, what happens? You're stuck in a mortgage for 30 years, paying off
Mhm.
every month. I use my relationships with financial services companies. They have debt elimination programs. So you're gonna be cutting your traditional mortgage down from 30 years to about 7 years. You can at as little as 7 years. And think about it, Sammy. You're paying everything off in 7 years. All that extra money you're gonna be paying for retirement, your kids' education,
Mhm.
bills, better quality of all. Rising tide lifts all ships,
Yeah.
which is really amazing. So education is something I am extremely proud of. Um, so there's been studies where apparently your zip code where you were born determines where you're going to get in life, right?
Yeah.
Your zip code is tied to property taxes. So if you live in a very poor community, chances are the education system there, it's poorly funded and you're not going to get a quality education. I've been working with a lot of companies that give options for virtual education, where it
Mm.
doesn't matter where you live, right? You get virtual education once there is an internet connection. So Black and brown communities can really benefit from that. Now, with education, um, not everybody can afford college. Not everybody
Mhm.
wants to go to college. I work with a lot of companies that they want to increase the amount of college admissions for minority students and increase the amount of graduation rates for those
Mhm.
same, while at the same time reducing the amount of debt they have. That is a very big deal.
Yeah.
It things. It really does change things. And with debt elimination as well, you finish college, you need to work on that because how are you going to get a house? How are you going to get a car? How are you going to get married? The American
Right. When you have this weighing over you, right? It's like hovering
exactly,
there.
it's hanging over you like a dead goose.
Yeah.
basically, basically, that's what it is. And also with education, I work with a lot of big companies, nonprofits like Blacks in Tech, Hispanics in Tech, Techaria, right? I don't know if you've noticed, but the tech industry, it's big and it's booming. We are
Mhm.
working to get young people who may not want to go to college. We're
Mhm.
getting them the training they need to take these tech jobs when they become
Yeah.
available so they can provide for their families. That's really what I've been doing with the education. That is my baby, right?
Yeah.
Economic development, right? One word, jobs. Jobs. That's all people care about. They want to get jobs to provide for their families, put food on the table. I partner with a lot of nonprofits that have entrepreneurial training, like the Center for micro entrepreneurial training in Orlando, right? Organizations like
Mhm.
that. They need the resources. They teach you, hey, this is how you start and run a business. These are the people you need in your life. Um, Blacks in tech as well. They have a funnel where they try to help you get jobs once you have those qualifications. A lot of the companies I work with, um, they have jobs available. You just need the training, and certification is offered through my partnerships. It's a lot of work. It's a lot of work, but it's very rewarding and it's very impactful.
Yeah, that's fantastic. And I just think that you've been able to marry all of these areas of expertise and come in also with the, because at the end of the day, when you walk into spaces that perhaps are not yet either familiar or they've been uninterested in knowing about these disparities, right? For you to be able to come in, A, with the outside lens, B, with the academic acumen, because I mean, you studied the medical end of it, right? And then also having been immersed in all of these different organizations, I'm sure that gives you a very well-rounded picture of what these key areas, of immediate interventions that are possible are, so that way you can rally um, key stakeholders and allies or accomplices to help remedy them. Which sector do you find is the most challenging, right? Because I found that dealing with government agencies, oh my god, it's like pulling teeth sometimes because there's a lot of red tape and it's like, oh, you know what, later for this. I mean, do you find that, because I know that you work more at a national level, do you find that's also some of the challenges that you see?
So government agencies and government companies, it is very challenging. A lot of them, they have this way of doing things. Hey, we've always done it this way. Nothing's wrong with it. Don't fix it if it's not broke. So
Right.
it's challenging. But recently, healthcare has been the most challenging for me, particularly because of COVID.
Hmm.
Um, there's been a lot of strain with healthcare workers. They have to do more, they have to work harder, and it's more stressful. They have less time, and then there's getting sick.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, totally. And there's not enough support, right, from a mental health care standpoint, and from also people leaving the jobs, right? I mean, I've heard that a lot, that a lot of people are also reinventing themselves and saying, "I'll later for this." The same happens a lot with teachers. Like I've heard a lot of teachers that I know, right, that say, "Hey, this has been very taxing and it's made me reevaluate, right? What am I doing here? And so,
Course, because yes, self care is important. You can't be pouring from an empty cup, and people don't understand that about healthcare. You're caring for other people's families, for other people's loved ones. What about you? Who's taking care of you? That's why a lot of physicians, they're leaving. They're leaving healthcare. They're going into entrepreneurship. They're going into education. They're leaving. They're starting their own businesses. They're going into pharmaceuticals. They're going into medical devices where, like, yes, they may be paid less, but it's a better quality of life.
right. And so I have, yes, exactly. And so then one question. So, participating in non ethnic or non-black, so in white spaces, for example, in white boards and stuff, because I see that everywhere you've inserted yourself, right, is within the community. It's like to be there, and be able to be an advisor and provide guidance and support and direction, and even your expertise, right? Because what's your experience been in participating in initiatives or efforts that seek to address disparities, um, but that are not necessarily led, right, by people that look like us, for example?
That is an amazing question. I've noticed that you're not gonna understand the extent of the disparities unless you're us, unless it's happened to you. That's just how the culture is in the United States. Unless you've come from poverty, you don't know how poverty holds you back, because it is very difficult to get out of intergenerational poverty. And a lot of these business leaders that I work with, they really struggle to connect. You have to have an emotional connection to the people that you help, right? A lot of them, their solution is, let's just throw money at the problem. No, that's not gonna work. You gotta mobilize people. And in order to mobilize people, you have to empathize with people. You need to be a leader, a servant leader, preferably, because I know servant leaders work best in this
Mhm.
scenario. But servant leadership with empathy, because they gotta like you, they gotta trust you in order for them to do business with you, even to help themselves. That's how.
Yeah. Yes, you're so right. It's so funny that you say that, because I was just recently at an event, and there was a white male business owner, and very successful, but it was talking about the challenges that he faced during the pandemic, where had to let go a lot of people, and so then now with COVID sort of behind us. He's starting to open up the positions that have been vacant, right, for the last 2 years, and seeking a new workforce, a new talent to fill in those positions, and express that it was very, very challenging to do so. And so then I wonder, okay, is it that the pay is not right? Because now people are valuing, I think after COVID, they're valuing, right, family time,
Yeah,
life, right, leisure time, sometimes even more than a low paying job. But then he said something that to me was like, and it alludes to what you just said. He says, oh, and then there's this thing called empathy now, apparently. Like he said it, but kudos for him for recognizing, for saying it, right? He says there's this thing called empathy, apparently, that now we need to embed in how we do business, and it's something that I struggle with. Like he recognized that I'm not too empathetic. He just wants to get the job done, right? And so
yeah,
to me, that was like, wow, for someone to come out and say that, right? It means it's a real problem, right? Like he's really feeling it. But it speaks to what you're saying, right? Is that people are valuing empathy. They're really, and it's a commodity or an asset that you can't really monetize, or not yet anyway, right? But how do you fit that into what you mentioned before, into capitalist society, which is dog eat dog, I'm going to knock your head off so I can get ahead. And so how
yeah.
do you marry those two things?
So, in my humble opinion, yes, you can monetize empathy, right? It might sound crazy, but hey, you monetize empathy by providing employee benefits. That is the easiest way to do things, right? Employee benefits. Yes, it sounds boring when you talk about people's health insurance, their retirement accounts, that stuff like that. It sounds boring, but you got to look at it this way. That's ways for people to take care of themselves, to put food on the table, to take care of their kids when they're sick. Um, a lot of people, believe it or not, they're leaving high paying jobs for lower paying jobs that have better benefits. They're doing,
Mm.
because when you get sick, what are you gonna do? Go into bankruptcy?
Mhm.
That's what it is. We live in a society that's capitalist, right? It's pay for play. You need to afford healthcare. If you don't, well, sucks to be you.
Yeah.
That's just
Yeah.
how it
Yeah. And they're all interrelated because then you can't work and then it's just like a domino effect from there. So this
is.
is, yeah. Yeah, totally. So the best way then to reduce all of these disparities, right, is through financial wellness. Then,
Yeah,
because then it'll give you access and embedding our systems with more empathy and access, I guess, to
exactly.
yeah, to quality of life, right? And I think that helps them with other stuff like retention, right,
Yeah.
and hiring processes, because word gets around, especially in our communities, right? It's like, yo, you need to go work over there, they have good benefits.
Oh, yeah.
And yeah, and they understand, right? They totally understand about life, right, and about sickness and needs and being a caregiver, maybe of an elderly parent, and about collective societies, and the cultural competency aspect of it is
Of
very
course,
important too, no?
of course. But at the same time, employees look at getting employee benefits as their the business owner caring for them, appreciating them. That's how it translates in HR. And you know fully well when people feel appreciated, they do more than what is expected. So that's how you monetize it. You make people feel good, and when they're taken care of, when they're happy, these people they take care of your business. That's how it
Yeah.
is.
Yeah. Yeah. That's it. It's that simple, right? So
Yes.
before we wrap up, so what would you like to share with us, right? In terms of, if you're like working in a company, let's say for example I'm an accountant, right, and
Yeah.
I'm just going about my business, and I, because it happens to most of us, I feel like you reach a certain age, right, and I want to say it's like you're between to me anyway, it was between 38 and 45, right, like I feel like that's the wiggle room where you're like, what am I doing here, right? Most people, right, have that moment, and some call it a midlife crisis. But I feel like if you're a good person, you want to like do more and like leave legacy. And it's not really about the legacy, it's about saying, what am I doing here? How can I make this world a better place? And so, where do you think, people can, what's the easiest way for people to insert themselves in helping with social mobility, right, with helping others? Yeah, yeah, because I mean, we can support St. Jude's, and there's other stuff that we can clearly, help out with from a donation standpoint, but I mean, like, physically, actively insert yourself as a professional, right, as a worker, into helping elevate others from an socioeconomic standpoint. What would you recommend?
So from my point of view, I would say you need to build your social and professional network now, like on LinkedIn. Social media is exploding. You're reaching people that you need to reach without spending the time and the money to get there. When you're on LinkedIn and you're talking to the right people, you're not wasting time being around the wrong people. You're surrounding yourself with people who respect you and your talents as a human being. You're going where you're treated best. You're going where you're celebrated and not just tolerated. And you're reaching the people who need your services, especially nonprofits. There are a lot of nonprofits out there. They are needing volunteers, they're needing sponsors. And when you're engaging with them over social media, it's a better quality engagement when you get the face to face or face to Facebook. Um,
Yeah. Yeah, and that makes sense actually, and it's funny, I hadn't thought about that. The easiest thing is then to develop your social capital and
Exactly.
develop strong relationships, because then when something happens, it's a phone call away. Like you
Ex-
say, I need to put you in touch with, XYZ, with my friend or with my colleague. They'll be able to help you, and that elevates a person's um access, really, to the resources that they need to thrive. Yeah.
I agree. I agree
Awesome.
with you. I
Yeah,
am.
well, you just said that. I'm just repeating what you just said. That's awesome. Yeah, because it's free.
I'm
Yeah.
living testament to that. Most of the leadership positions I have, I got them through LinkedIn. I
Mhm.
network aggressively. I chase the social impact before the money, and I guess that's how the universe works. The money follows. That's how I
Yeah.
do business. And all these organizations, they reach out to me with opportunities, and they help grow your network. Your network is your net worth. You need options in 2022 when it comes to having job opportunities, not for you, just for you, but for your kids as well. It really helps. LinkedIn is like the future. Honestly, it
Yes.
is.
Yeah, I know. And I feel it too. For me, it's the same way. For me, impact, social impact, leads the business too. And then everything else has just been, it just falls into place. And it's a great feeling because you feel like you're stepping, into everything you do with a sense of integrity and purpose, and so it's really awesome. That is great advice, Val. Thank you so much. And
Well,
this is so wonderful. I'm so glad that we made time to have this conversation, and to also, I know that we've spoken before, and I know your trajectory, but I've seen all of this activity, on your feed. I'm like, oh my gosh, what's he doing now? This is so awesome, that I felt it was important to showcase, right? The how, not so much the why, because the why is to elevate others, right? And to because if you're okay, then I'm okay, right? But it's the how. How in the world do you do that? And you just shared that with us. And you know what? It's not that difficult, right? You just have to have the intent.
I'm not a selfish person. I believe that you should share any knowledge and expertise that you have because those are God-given talents. You need to share
Mhm.
them. Anybody who
Mhm.
wants to connect with me to learn how I do it, or if they need help, I'm willing to help them. Right? LinkedIn is the easiest way to reach me.
Yeah.
Uh, It is. It is. Everyone who's anyone is on LinkedIn. But yeah, any help, just ask.
Yes. Awesome. Thank you so much, Val. Okay. And I'm sure I can't wait to meet you in person, right? You're right there in Tampa. There's
Yes,
no reason.
your
I have
neighbors.
to, I have to plan a day trip. Let's do that.
Yes,
Okay. Yes. Before this summer's over, it's a deal. Okay.
of course, of course. Excited.
Okay. Yes, me too. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
This concludes this episode of I Have Something to Say. We want to thank you for tuning in. Don't forget to tell your friends about us. We're on Spotify and iTunes as well. There's more to come next week. And remember, if you have something to say, it's time to speak up.